Good evening, ladies and gentlemen. Welcome to Benchwarmers Restaurant and Delivery. We're live here with the Coach's Corner right here on Heart of Ohio Sports. I'm Nate Mullins. This week I'm joined by my special guest, Monroeville Eagles head football coach, Tylor Nester. How we doing?
Good. Thanks for having me. I appreciate it. I wouldn't be remiss to apologize for stiffing you guys last year and you guys having me on again, but I appreciate and apologize for last year's scheduling mistake.
That's all right. No worries. It happens. You weren't the first coach. Like I said, you weren't the first coach that stood us up, but, hey, we appreciate the apology. And like I said, we're getting ready to get into an exciting football season, week 2 of the high school football season. And I'm excited to sit down with you, Coach. I really appreciate you spending some time with us. I know it's a little bit of a drive. What, about 40 minutes?
Yeah, 40 minutes, and I had to take a detour there at Route 18. It wasn't on the old map, so luckily I knew my way around a little bit.
Well,
so.
It's in between summer season and fall season. We call that construction season in Ohio, you know? All right, so, Coach, let's talk about it. So for any fans that might not know you or know your story, can you share a little bit about your background, just how you got into coaching and maybe what brought you here to Monroeville?
Well, actually, it was a former Calvert coach, Steve Reeser.
Good guy.
He was my teacher in high school and kind of looked up to him and kind of
sat
followed
there
him.
before.
Yeah. I haven't talked to him in a while, but then also Frank Lamro, who's a longtime head coach at Seneca East. Graduated from Seneca East 2005 and then University of Toledo and then coached up at Whitmer for a couple of years with those guys. And then when my wife graduated from college up there, we moved down here and the position at Monroeville was open in 2012 and I've been there ever since.
Nice. 2 icons.
Yep.
Steve Reeser, Frank Lamro, man. Wow.
Yep.
To learn under that learning tree. Yeah. You got some knowledge for sure. Now, you said you've been here for 2012 was when you started with Monroeville.
Yep.
But you didn't start out as the head coach.
No. So 2012, I was assistant with Dan Perriott, and then that followed Scott Staker. Actually, I just gave him a call on the way over. He was still at practice, so I'll probably get a call in with him after we leave here, hopefully. But yeah, 2012, assistant coach most of the time. When Scott took over, he asked if I wanted to be a defense coordinator. I was like, yeah, sure, why not? And was defense coordinator under him, and then took over after he left.
Nice. So, what do you think is one of the most rewarding things about leading this Eagles program? Obviously, you're a Seneca East guy. You graduated from Seneca East, but what's unique about this program, both off the field and on the field, obviously, but mostly this community? So,
like I said, I grew up in Seneca East, and the Seneca East Monroeville rivalry was big when I was in school, and kind of knew that. And then when the job posting opened up, at that point in time, social studies positions were very few and far between. So I was like, you know what, we're going back that way. My wife is from Western Reserve, so we were living in Wakeman for that year. And I was like, yeah, I'll try this out, see what happens. Was able to get a long-term sub position. But Monroeville is extremely special, and I know a lot of people can say that, but when you come visit our field this weekend, you'll see how special the community is. The amount of volunteer work hours that have been put in to help the program, and not just football, but all the sports in the school, and just the involvement, the love for the school and the school district is absolutely amazing.
Yeah, that football field that's a venue. Mm-hmm. That is a iconic venue for high school football. Marsh Field is one of those things that a lot of us media guys, we talk about the best most iconic venues around here. That's right up there at the top of the list.
Yep, and the upgrades take it up even a notch. I mean, we had a great showing this last week, and a couple more things. We'll have an official ribbon cutting ceremony that in a couple weeks away. We're not quite done, but obviously we played some football games on it already. So
nice.
Yep, it's exciting.
Yeah, we're excited to get over there, get a look at it. So, all right, you said you served as defensive coordinator for 7 years under Scott Staker.
Yep.
Talk about his leadership. What did you take from that time with him?
A ton, and some of the things that I learned from him, it didn't click. And he'll probably laugh if he listens to this until I took over the head coaching job. But kind of the patience and understanding of the game itself, he allowed me to kind of grow and make mistakes. And some of those lessons I learned under him, I was able to fix before taking over the head coaching position. But learned a ton of him. I can't thank him enough for the experience that he allowed me to have while he was coaching.
It helps to sit a little bit and learn how to be a head coach from somebody who really knows what they're doing. So, yeah, that's invaluable. All right, now, Coach, I want to talk about your team a little bit. Let's start week 1, Macomb. Now, your offense exploded last week, 400 yards on the ground. You guys lost a couple big names last year, Evan Benfer, Landon Rader. Now, was this a statement to some of the area teams that, hey, that success wasn't built around 1 or 2 players?
Yeah, I mean, it's a testament to those guys because they set the standard for us, right? And the group before that and the group before that, obviously, just less than 3 years ago, we were 0-10 and kind of rebuilding the program and figuring out who we were. But the groups of seniors that went through those adversity, and I mean, this senior class was also a part of that. So learning those lessons, just like I talked about under Coach Staker, learning those lessons through the years have kind of built to the point, and we're going to continue to grow. Just that's our standard. That's what we expect, no matter who's at quarterback or who's at left tackle, right tackle. We've got a set of standards and expectations that we're going to stick to and continue to exceed.
And I feel like that's been the standard at Monroeville for a long time. Mm-hmm. I mean, since I went to school at Seneca East back in the early 2000s, I mean, that was a storied program, a lot of history there, a lot of success.
Oh, yeah.
I mean, you talk about it's bred a lot of success over there.
Yeah, but it's definitely ingrained, and it makes coaching a lot of times a lot easier than different places when you've got that set of standards that are before you and kind of rebuilding and kind of making it our own and resetting our own, like I said, legacy. We talk about that a ton. Like, what is your individual legacy going to be? Like, what are you going to pass down to the juniors and the sophomores and the freshmen? And then our varsity kids, every Saturday, they also coach the youth kids for flag football.
That's awesome.
So, like, what are you passing on to them? What kind of example, what kind of standard are you setting for those guys?
That's really cool, and that's how you pass the torch. That's how you create that lineage in your program, kind of a feeder program from flag all the way up to Friday nights.
Yep. And my son's one of those, and they always got a favorite player, a favorite two, and they see him, like Evan and Jackson, a couple of those guys, and a couple of previous seniors were back this weekend, and that's the first kids they saw, and they came up running to him, and we're excited to see him. So it's that excitement in the younger kids is always cool to see.
That's so cool, especially, I mean, there's Friday night lights, you can't beat that, but for a young kid to get that kind of experience, man, yeah, for sure. That's those are core memories.
Yeah.
So last year, talk about your defense a little bit. You had one of the best defenses in the area. Just 115 points all season did you allow, including 5 straight shutouts. What do you think separates your defensive philosophy from some of the other area teams?
So our defense coordinator, Coach Clark, does a really good job of hounding on the kids. Right? Get to the ball. And kind of our philosophy with tackling is like you want to just pull the trigger, right? Make sure you're leveraged correctly, pull the trigger, and then the rest of the defense will swarm there and make some good things happen. So, I mean, we talk about the pursuit, but really getting all 11 to the ball, and that's what we hound on from day one of camp. Get to the ball, get to the ball, get to the ball.
That's important. And, I mean, when you watch your team play, you watch that defense, it's pretty apparent all 11 are swarming to the ball.
Yeah,
so,
they have fun with it. And Saturday mornings we kind of pick out who the guys are, or if it was from 7-on-7, and they enjoy trying to single out each other to see who was the last one to the pile. So it's cool to see.
That's really cool.
Right.
So, I mean, talk about this Calvert rivalry a little bit. Now, you've been on both sides of this. Overtime, heartbreak loss 2 years ago at Marsh Field. You got a convincing win last year on the road. Broke a 5-game losing streak to the Senecas. Now, is there any sense of relief to kind of get over that hump, or are you just kind of like, this is part of the standard, this is part of building the foundation of what we're trying to build here?
Yeah, I'd say it's just part of that standard, right? One game at a time, that philosophy. I know some people say that's coach speech, but that's what we hound to our kids, right? This Calvert's and our crosshairs this week, right? And then the next week after that. But staying focused. But it was really nice getting the victory last year, especially at their home place. Getting a road win is always difficult, especially like you talk about storied programs. Calvert's a storied program.
Yeah.
Coach Lento has done a heck of a job the last couple of years, and then Coach Reeser before that. And when I played at Seneca East, Calvert was always good as well. So, I mean, they've got that same tradition, and always get a victory over a team like Calvert. It's always nice.
For sure. Now, I'll talk about your offense a little bit here. Colton Clark, new quarterback, taking over. Ran wild last week. 200 yards, 3 scores. A little bit of struggles through the air, though. 0 for 9, had an interception. What's your message to him as he kind of develops into both a playmaker and kind of the leader of this offense now?
Yeah, just take it one step at a time, right? Be a little bit more composed in the pocket, and he did a tremendous job this offseason working on his throwing mechanics and going a couple of places, and especially in the weight room. So he's got the leadership skills. Now he's just got to be composed. And what I tell him all the time, just throw the ball or just calm down, take a deep breath, and he's doing better and better. We had a really good 7-on-7 session, and some of our scrimmages we threw pretty well. So it's just a matter of time before that starts to click for him.
For sure. So another guy stood out on the stat sheet to me, Connor Boris, 190 yards, 2 scores, just 13 carries. Now, you got a second threat like that. How important is it to kind of have him to punish defenses if they overcommit to Clark?
Yeah, I mean, he's been behind Landon the last couple of years, so we haven't been able to showcase him as much. But once again, another kid with great work ethic and a great demeanor, and is not selfish. And I can say that about every single one of our kids. They want to win. They want to compete with each other. They want to push each other and allow people to shine. And he's one of those, whether it's blocking in the backfield or lead blocking for Colt or pass pro or whatnot. So he does an excellent job, and we're proud of where he's at and where he can go.
For sure. So I got to talk about that offensive line, man. You really moved some bodies last week. You kind of controlled the game in the trenches. Now, I was watching Score Stream, and I kind of see it was a close game, and then you guys just pulled away at the end, and that's kind of indicative of having a really strong offensive line and controlling the trenches. What do you think is the difference? What's different about this year's line in terms of like chemistry or technique? Is there anything that kind of stands out that fans might not notice?
Well, Coach Dunlap, I got to shout him out. He's coached there. I think he told me he's got 23 years of coaching.
Wow.
Coach at Findlay does a tremendous job, but he keeps saying this group communicates more and more than any other group that he's had. So that's communication awesome. Across the board, and they're gelling together. And Colt, like I said, he's a very supportive kid, and he's always taking care of those offensive linemen as well as Connor. But that communication aspect. And then, like you said, in the trenches, you got to be gritty, and every single one of those kids are really gritty for us.
Yeah, really gritty. Now, your defense was really gritty last week, too. Picked off 3 passes. You got 2 by Colton Cook and Ethan Pomerich. Now, what do those takeaways say about your aggressiveness and, like, the preparation of your secondary?
Yeah, I mean, so Pomerich himself and Derek Ackerman on the other side of the ball, they've started for us the last couple of years, so they got a ton of experience coming back. But just like we talked about with offensive linemen, that communication on the back end, it's got to happen with us playing cover 3 and Cook being able to, as an outside backer, make sure those reroutes are happening. So we talked a little bit ago, like it's team defense, right? So those turnovers, those interceptions happen because of team defense. And a lot of people say it's luck, but it's that communication aspect, flying to the ball, working together.
Yeah, and that's key. You got to fly to the ball, but you also got to work together. Communication's really key, and to have those guys communicating together, it just tells what kind of chemistry you guys have on that team and the amount of time these guys have spent together.
Yeah, so one of the things we started 2 years ago, we go to camp, overnight camp at Ohio Northern University. No cell phones. We do team bonding, some 7-on-7 stuff, some practice stuff. But we did that last year and this year, and we've seen that bond continue to build and build and build. And we talk about that brotherhood, right? Every program talks about brotherhood, but we spend every day at practice, whether it's before or after practice, talking about a word of the week. This week's trust for us, so it continues to build trust. How to build trust in the classroom, on the football, and in life, and how that's going to propel you to success after high school.
Yeah, absolutely. Now, talk about this run game, because I think a lot of people, they look at this team, they look at your offensive scheme, and you guys love to run the ball. 150 yards in 13 straight games now?
Yep.
Is that right?
Yeah.
Wow.
You have to tell me. I don't look at the stats.
It's like, I don't look at stats. Now, how do you make sure that the opponents can't just key on the run and force you into being predictable? Like, how do you balance?
Well, it helps having Colt and Connor in the backfield, along with Cook and our receivers at the edge, right? We've got the ability to throw. Obviously, we didn't do as well as we would like to last week, but having that mix of ability in the backfield keeps defenses on their toes. And I talked about Coach Dunlap. If he could have his way, we'd probably run the football 100% of the time. He's one of those offensive lineman guys that likes to like I said, get gritty in the trenches. But no, he's opening up a little bit, and but no, our run game starts with that offensive line, like we talked about with Hayden and Bryce and some returners there now, and we moved. We moved our tight end to guard, Isaac Krieger.
Yeah.
So we got some guys that are selfless and love to run the football.
That's really cool. And that's what you need, man. You need guys that are selfless, especially when you have a system like that where everybody's got to block. Mm-hmm. Everybody has to be able to block from quarterback all the way down to, the last guy on the line. Everybody's got to learn how to block, and that's key.
Yeah, so don't forget about our wide receivers either. They take pride in their blocking with Coach Schaefer there. We're always hounding on him to work on stock blocking and meter blocking, so they do an excellent job of run blocking for us out on the perimeter as well.
So as a wide receiver in your system, how do you keep those guys engaged in the game? Like if they're not getting their touches that they want, obviously, you want to put the ball in everybody's hands, but the tempo and the game kind of dictates sometimes you have to put it in guys' hands that are being effective. How do you keep those guys engaged in the game?
Well, it's that idea of being selfless, right? It's no different than the offense linemen and sometimes our defense linemen, right? Their names aren't going to be in the paper very often. So across the board, right, to be a great football team, you've got to be selfless. And some weeks you might get the ball in your hands. Some weeks we might pass 30, 40, maybe even 50%. But that time will come. But right now you got to focus one play at a time.
Yeah, it's got to be a main focus is just trying to keep it one play at a time. Stay where your feet are.
Yep,
Be where your feet are. Now, big 76-yard touchdown for Colton Clark. When a player like that showcases that kind of explosive ability, what are some of the ways that you like to put him in position to kind of maximize that breakaway threat without putting too much on his shoulders?
Just variations in the backfield, whether it's sweeps or some counters or running with counter a couple times. There's definitely ways to promote, I guess, his athletic ability, whether that's rolling out and then you're looking like you're passing, and you're able to just tuck it and run. So we do it in very different ways.
Who's really stood out to you this year so far in terms of leadership? Like over the offseason, who stepped up maybe that you weren't expecting to, and then maybe, who are the guys that kind of lead the way for this team right now?
So I've been asked that question a lot, and truly, it's not that there's no surprises, but our kids worked so hard this offseason. As soon as the JFK game was over, there was kids say, can we open the weight room? Can we open the weight room? So the weight room was open, and they were hopping in there. But our captains just announced right before week one, Bryce Dunlap, which you know his name, and then Maverick Myers, another selfless guy that's at tight end and defensive line for us, Hayden Ryan, our center, and then Derek Ackerman also. So, surprises, no, because I see them every day. So seeing them work and grind in the offseason, and a lot of those kids are 2-3 sport athletes, and see them on the court or on the wrestling mat. So you can see that slow progress over and over and over and over again.
You mentioned wrestling. Now, when you first started here at Monroeville, you were the wrestling coach. You still doing a wrestling coach?
I just coach my 2 kids now.
Yeah?
Yeah.
I was kind of thinking it might be a little too much right now with the kids and the family stuff going on.
So last year was the first year that I didn't coach high school.
I kind of thought that was the case, but now what led to that decision? Was it just family or?
It's a combination of things, but I also started my master's degree, so tried to do all 3, I think, would be impossible. Yeah. My wife might actually kill me. But no, it was a mix. I knew there was a ticking time, I guess. There's a clock on how long I could coach both of them.
For sure.
My oldest is Owen. He's 10 years old, and then my middle is 8, and then we've got a 6-year-old. Yeah, 6-year-old in kindergarten, Harlan. But so we're busy all the time. Wrestling-wise, actually, people ask me the same question. It's like I was probably in the wrestling room more than I was as a high school coach, but with my kids. So getting back to that family aspect.
That's awesome. Well, hey, congratulations on pursuing your master's, though. That's really cool.
Yeah, thank you. Almost done. I got a couple more months left, or a couple more classes left, and that'll be it for a little bit.
Nice. Yeah. Well, that's cool. So you got a little bit off your plate, take a little bit off your shoulders, but you never have anything off your plate being the head coach, man.
No, you're correct, but it's enjoyable. And we talked a little bit ago, but seeing those younger kids smile after a varsity game, or seeing my own kids kind of grow and look up to the high school kids, but it's definitely rewarding. It's stressful, but it's more rewarding than anything else.
Now, how do you think your wrestling background helps you as a coach?
Oh, man, I don't know where I would be without being a wrestler or a wrestling coach, because a lot of those dynamics that I learned through wrestling, or that embracing the grind or conditioning or practice planning as a wrestling coach, has translated and helped me out as a football coach.
Yeah, it really does. And I always say, as a player, as a coach, you want wrestlers on your football team.
Oh, yeah.
You know what I mean? Obviously, football translates to wrestling, but wrestling really translates to football. And you see a lot of the kids that just are not afraid to stick their nose in there and just get dirty. Well, they're usually wrestlers.
Yep.
All right, so looking back at the red zone offense last year, what's changed in your approach this year to kind of finishing drives when that field shrinks?
I'd say we've got a similar approach to it, right? We've got a double tight situation that we showcased last week a little bit, but we're going our identity, like, this, got to spit it out here, is as Coach Dunlap says, is our identity is to run the ball, and that's what we want to do. So when we get in the red zone, we're going to run the ball and see what happens from there.
All right. So talk about this Calvert team a little bit. They struggled to slow you guys down last year. You really controlled the ground game from start to finish. What kind of adjustments do you expect from them on defense?
It's going to be a similar type of game for them, but they're big. Obviously, the Moyer boys up front, and it's He's 70 on film, but we couldn't really pinpoint who he was.
I think that's Owen Seifert.
Yes.
I'm pretty sure.
Yeah. So
because he was 50 on the roster, but I didn't have a 50 on the field, and Owen's a senior, and he was definitely going to be playing out there if he's up.
Played nose.
Yeah, that'd be Owen.
He did a tremendous job against Mohawk, and obviously those Moyer boys are big, physical, tough-nosed kids. So, I mean, we're going to have our hands full with those three, and then their backers and their outside backers and their linebackers are also physical. So it's going to be a tough, interesting game in the trenches for sure.
For sure. So, on the flip side, you talk about this Calvert team. They're kind of known for hitting some big plays, but they struggled a little bit last week against Mohawk with a new quarterback at the helm. What do you think is the number one priority, in bottling up their run game, or do you think it's limiting their ability to stretch the field?
Well, you kind of got to do both, right? Because Lee's a dynamic running back,
really
right?
Is.
They're big up front, so you've got to stop the run. But also DeMoss there on the edge, he's a big play threat. He gets hold of that ball. I mean, he could take it to the house wherever he's at. So you got to be sound in the run game, but also be wary of that deep pass and try to keep everything in front of you. So what happened to them last week's a fluke, and that's what we tell the kids is that they're big, they're physical. You've known that. You played against most of those kids for the last couple of years, and on the edges they're quick and fast, and they've got some huge play capability.
Well, and I don't think they're going to be too happy about what happened last week either. So I don't think they're going to come into this one without a chip on their shoulder, you know. And then, obviously, last year, got a little bit of retribution from last year. They're going to try to have that chip on their shoulder. Now, what do you tell your guys in the locker room when you know you got a team that's kind of licking their wounds and looking to get right? Yeah,
it's the same thing we say every week. And like I said, this sounds like coach speak, but this is what we talk about. It's like one play at a time, right? One play today, one day at a time. Today at practice, we're like, hey, we got to be the best we can today at practice on Tuesday, right? And then after practice, we evaluate our practice film to see where we need to make some changes or make some adjustments or work on some technique. But then tomorrow we'll worry about tomorrow, and then when Friday comes, we'll worry about taking on Calvert.
There you go. So talk about this Calvert. This Calvert game's a little different. Now, you guys have your rivalries, obviously, in the Firelands. You guys got rivalries over there, but what makes this Calvert team, what makes this game unique compared to any other Friday night on your schedule?
Well, they're on the other side of the region, and they've been in the playoffs. I mean, I couldn't count, but pretty consistently over the last like 10, 15 years, I'd like to guess. So, I mean, it's a playoff game. No matter if they're 0-1 or 1-0 going into this week, it's always a playoff type atmosphere, whether it's down here in Tiffin or at Marsh Field, and that's what we want, right? We want to prepare ourselves for the Finals Conference, but we got to take care of business this week, obviously.
For sure. So, you've won 10 out of your last 11 regular season games. How do you what's the message to your players to kind of stay hungry and keep them focused through this success? Because obviously some of these guys might have been on the team during that 0-10 season. Now here they are, and this has been continued success now for back-to-back years here. How do you keep these guys level-headed?
So the word of the week for us this week is trust. So we've got our mission statement and values broken down, and last week was faith. And this week is trust. So, trust the process, right? It's just one play at a time, right? There's going to be situations in the game where they don't go our way, right? So, trust the process. Be patient. Be disciplined. Continue to get better. Continue to win those individual battles and stay focused stay focused and present in the situation.
That's key, for sure. Now, talking to Eagle Nation out there, when fans walk away from Marsh Field Friday night, what are 3 things you want them to say about this year's Monroeville Eagles team?
That we're disciplined, we're physical, and enjoyable to watch.
All right. Coach, any message to the fans out there?
No, I thank you to all our volunteers that helped revitalize Marsh Field, all those community hours. I mean, I couldn't count thousands, if not tens of thousands of hours, and all the donations. We appreciate your support and our Lift-A-Thon donors, and along with all our coaches. And it'd be mistaken to not thank my wife and my family for allowing me to continue to do this.
Yeah, absolutely. Without them, it's not possible, Coach.
Exactly.
But once again, our guest this week, Monroeville head coach Tylor Nester, joining us. Folks, please make sure you share the video. Like, follow, subscribe. All that stuff is great, but share this video. It helps us reach new audiences, especially if you're a fan of this guy right here. Help him get the word out about his program because they're doing some great things over there in Monroeville. Thanks again, Coach.
Yep, thank you. Thank you again for having me.
Absolutely. Appreciate your time. All right, folks, you've been watching the Coach's Corner here at Benchwarmers Restaurant and Delivery. I want to thank Greg Kinn for all his efforts today, and, of course, thanks to the great staff here at Benchwarmers Restaurant and Delivery.